Last week, a good friend of the channel, Mike's Monsters, started posting on social media and across several Discord servers that Toho was starting to serve letters and notices of takedowns for unofficial fan content that's being sold or even just being created by fans in things like Roblox, or there's another fan game called Kaiju Universe, I think it's called, or Kaiju Unleashed. I don't know what it's called. I've gotten my hands on the legal papers that have been served to some of these folks, and I gotta say the situation is way more intense than you might initially believe. But before I go in on Toho and the way that they're conducting themselves, I do want to talk a little bit about fair use and, licensing and copyright infringement, because Toho's not legally in the wrong for doing what they're doing. This is especially important for Godzilla and for a Japanese company, because in Japan, there is no such thing as fair use. If you are monetizing a property, even in a transformative way, there's nothing there to protect you. So if you are a fan artist, or even if you create things like stickers or clothing, I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with that from a legal perspective until you start selling it. And usually websites like Etsy or Teespring will have a box that you have to check off explicitly, or it will be in their terms and conditions that you have to check that you've read and understood, that you can only make things if you own the copyright of the subject that you're making the merchandise of. And so if you're making Godzilla stickers, t-shirts, things like that, as soon as you check off that box that says, yes, I own this property, that means you are infringing on Toho's copyright. And I might get a lot of heat just for making the observation. Like, this isn't even my opinion. This is me just pointing out the way it is. You can't do that. We live in an era of AI generated art, ChatGPT, DALL-E, now Google Gemini is apparently making a ruckus across social media, where the conversations have been that if you're going to train image generating models on artists' work, then you should pay those artists a fee to license their work for the purposes of training that model. And I think that that's fair and justified as long as the compensation is equivalent. And it's very similar to what we're talking about here. Like, if you are a fan creating your art and selling your art, you can't do that with the likeness and name of a character unless you work out a deal with the licensor. And I've seen some folks talk about how, like, this shouldn't apply to a big company or a big property like Godzilla or other big prominent IPs like that. And I don't think that logic or argument really holds water. More and more I see people that have like these sort of moral standards, but they make all kinds of exemptions to them. Stealing is wrong, unless I'm stealing from a big corporation. Death is always tragic, unless it's somebody I disagree with politically. If you agree that artists' work should not be profited off of without consulting the original artist or the holder of that property, then you have to agree then that Toho is right to protect their trademark. So with all of that out of the way, the question is Toho's response to what people are doing proportionate and fair? I've always been a firm believer in minimal necessary force when you're retaliating, right? Like, if you're getting into an altercation with somebody and they start pushing or shoving you, then okay, like, the domain of hands-on combat is now open, and that's something that we can reciprocate with. If someone pulls out a weapon, then okay, I can use a weapon too. That seems like it's fair game. Imagine you're at the supermarket and you're just not paying attention. You accidentally, like, wheel your cart into Toho's cart. A reasonable response would be for Toho to be like, hey, watch where you're going. And, it would feel bad because, you hit the guy's cart and you're like, okay, whatever, sorry, sir, move on with your day. What Toho is doing, looking at these legal papers, it's the equivalent of me ramming my shopping cart into theirs by accident, Toho leaving the store and grabbing a baseball bat and coming back to, like, break my legs. Normally you would expect with a copyright infringement, something like this, there would be a cease and desist letter, right? Like a warning shot saying, hey, like, stop doing that or we're going to take action against you. And it's like, okay, fine, whatever. These are folks, these aren't even big folks. There's a list of 169 people on these papers. None of these people, I don't know any of them. I've heard of none of them. They can't be big names. They're not making that much money. So it's probably going to cost Toho more money to sue them than they're going to be capable of collecting. And to that point, they're not issuing cease and desist letters. They are outright suing these people. We're going to switch over to the first document, which is the summons that they've issued to these 169 people. You've got the lawyer here. So basically, this law firm has given the recipients of the letter 21 days after they receive the letter to respond and to show up to court. And if they fail to do that, the judgment will be held against them by default, right? Like if you don't show up to defend yourself, then they're just going to assume you're guilty and you have to abide by whatever the judge orders. Also, pay attention to the fact that this takes place Northern District of Illinois. There's a very specific reason that it's Illinois, and we'll get to it in a bit. So here is the complaint officially from Toho. The essence of it is that there is an epidemic of counterfeit merchandise being sold under the official Godzilla name, which is not licensed or endorsed by Toho officially. So they've got the example here that this is an official Godzilla storefront, like, okay, cool. And then here's an example of one of the things that they are trying to combat with this lawsuit. And I think we've all seen this. If you search for Godzilla toys on Amazon, you've seen like the unbelievable price for these definitely not real items. And they're usually sold from China. So there's a name here, which I'm, just looking at it, it looks Chinese in nature. So this is the complaint. They're saying, okay, what we're trying to do here is combat the sale of counterfeit merchandise. Okay, like I'm on board, right? Like I'm totally on board with that. If people shouldn't be selling knockoffs. And to nail this home, let me switch over to what my Walmart webpage looks like. This is actually in better shape than it was as of a couple weeks ago when I was searching for that new Playmates Monster vs. Ghidorah, which is apparently being reissued all over the place. But if you type in Ghidorah and you search on Walmart's official website, Walmart Canada, you get a whole slew counterfeit items. And this is actually a step up from what it was before. What it was before, it was this, which one was it? They've even changed it since I checked it like earlier this morning. But you see like these two vinyls here, it was hundreds of listings on Walmart Canada's official website. And so it seems that part of the lawsuit has been, asking retail partners or some of these service partners to take these down and to cooperate with Toho. And it seems that they're doing that. Okay, so back to this, like they've said that they're trying to stop with the counterfeit of official merchandise. Okay, I get it. I'm on board with that. The problem is that the list of 169 people that they've indicated, none of them are selling these counterfeit items, like these fake NECA knockoffs. None of them are doing that to the best of my ability. Like I only spot checked like a dozen of them or so. But the people that they're going after are people that are selling like their toy photography on t-shirts. They're selling like cutesy, like chibi style Godzilla stickers or buttons or whatever. None of this is being captured in the lawsuit. I'm also not going to show you the 169 people because I don't want to nobody wants to be known as the person that's getting sued by Toho, right? So I'm not gonna show you that. So the question is, how much money is Toho looking for? Prayer for relief. Okay. So they want everyone to stop using the Godzilla name. Okay, fair enough. Stop allowing other people to sell your product under the official Godzilla name. Okay, fair enough. Committing any acts calculated to cause people to believe you are selling Godzilla stuff. Fine. Further infringing on the Godzilla trademark. Okay. Otherwise competing unfairly with plaintiff in any manner. I don't know what that means. Like, I'm not going to launch my own Toho. Shipping, delivering, holding for sale, transferring, or otherwise moving, storing any products. Oh gosh, which infringe on the trademark. So like, you get the point, right? They want these products gone. Okay, like out of circulation. Again, totally fair, right? Like if you are selling things under the Godzilla name, you should stop doing that. This one here asks them to write like an oath saying that they will comply with everything I just talked about. But here is where things get kind of fucked up, okay? This point here is they want the websites that these people use to freeze their accounts. So like if I'm a social media creator that I take Godzilla photos and I put them on a t-shirt, sell them, whatever, it's not enough for me to take down my shirts that I for sale. They want me to take down my Facebook, my YouTube channel, my LinkedIn, my Twitter. The person who sent me these said that Toho is also trying to freeze their PayPal account. Like, why are they so out for blood against people that are selling stickers? Defendants account for and pay to plaintiff all profits realized by the defendant. Okay, like again, like if you are selling things on the Godzilla name, you are making money that is not rightfully yours. So Toho has the legal justification to collect it. Fine, but I guess maybe I'm just reading ahead to number 5, because in the alternative, the plaintiff be awarded statutory damages of $2 million for each and every use of the Godzilla trademark. So if I'm operating a storefront where I'm selling 5 Godzilla stickers unofficially, Toho wants $10 million, $2 million for each infringement I've made. Like, that just hurts, man. that just hurts. There's a few other documents here. Nothing crazy. They get a temporary restraining order, whatever. But basically, they've told the 169 defendants that they have to show up to the Illinois courthouse on February 27th, which by the time you're seeing this, I think it's tomorrow. They have to show up by tomorrow, or they're going to have a ruling against them by default, which could be $2 million per instance of infringement. My favorite part is this part here, where it talks about how, like, the counterfeit items are harming Toho's reputation or good standing on the heels of -1 making $100 million, and they want to collect basically $350 million from each of their 169 defendants. Now you might be asking yourself, this is absurd. Like, this will never happen. This will never go through, right? Like, they'll never try to collect $2 million from these folks. They'll never freeze their PayPal accounts. This has already happened. This happened with an artist not too long ago, just in December, where a mother selling tumblers, like tumblers with the likeness and name of this artist here, what is it, Luke Combs? She got slapped with a $250,000 judgment against her because the email that Toho's lawyer sent wound up in her spam folder. The spam folders were probably like, this looks like an email of somebody asking for money. That's most spam emails, so let's file it away. Like, nobody's gonna care about that. This woman went on the news and she was being interviewed. She was weeping during the interview, and that's when the artist saw it. The artist didn't even instigate the lawsuit. It was his lawyers. The lawyers got $5,500 away from the woman's Amazon account, and there were 46 other defendants slapped with the $250,000 judgment. We're talking in excess of $10 million at this point. So before I mentioned that this was taking place in the District of Illinois, and I said that there was a reason for that. Apparently, it's like a big problem. They maintain the suits are particularly rampant in the Northern District of Illinois, which appear to have become a magnet, if not cottage industry, for these cases to result in mass settlements and judgments with little notice. So why is Toho, a Japanese company, doing this in Illinois? Well, the basis... Ah, crap, my camera timer. I gotta reset it. Give me a second. Sorry, if I talk too long, my camera gets mad at me. Anyway, Toho is filing in the District of Illinois on the basis that these counterfeit goods are being sold to the people of Illinois, which is a very disingenuous way of framing it, because these things are being offered to people all over the world. But because they are being sold inclusive of the people to Illinois, they're allowed to do this. So yeah, Illinois seems to be a hotbed for these really extreme instances. And you'll notice the lawyer named in the court papers as filing several recent federal court lawsuits targeting hundreds of defendants on behalf of Combs is Keith A. Vogt. Guess whose lawyer's name is on the Toho papers? Now, if you go further into this article, it says that the maximum judgment at some point, I don't know where it is, but it says that, like, the maximum judgment you can really reasonably aim for is $250,000 per infraction. But you'll notice that the papers from Toho say $2 million per infraction. And if you look here, the law says that plaintiffs can get up to $2 million per action if the judge believes attorneys prove that the infraction was willful. And this is very important. When you tick off that box on Teespring, on Etsy, on whatever, saying, yes, I own this property, you are willfully infringing on Toho's copyright. Don't do that. My favorite part of this article is when they talk about how deterrence is what lawyers handling these cases promise famous clients. This is not deterrence. This is, you are destroying the livelihoods of small independent creators who are making things about a character in a franchise that they love. Okay, maybe they're messing up, right? Maybe they're ticking the box without reading it. But $2 million per infraction, like, you can tell that they're aiming for the stars and just seeing wherever they land. Like, maybe they'll get $50,000 per infraction rather than $2 million, but that's still $50,000 out of the pockets of independent artists during a time when independent artists are being absolutely crushed by the current state of the economy. Now, I know for a fact that among the list of 169 people that they're suing here, a lot of the folks are not within the United States. A lot of them are not within North America. So even if they don't show up, if they get a ruling against them, I don't know what power Toho has to collect from them. If you're in countries where they don't provide extradition for, you know, lawsuits like this, I don't really know what happens. But I think the most disturbing part is that the fate of these 169 people is entirely within the judge's hands. And it's up to that judge to decide, is shutting down this one business that's selling Godzilla stickers going to help with the overall issue of counterfeit products being sold on Amazon and Walmart or whatever. Oh yeah, fun fact, the sample that they had, that fake NECA figure, and the user that it was being sold and shipped from, they're not in the list of defendants. This is just so absurd. It's so absurd. I really don't know. I really don't know how a judge who's being brought a case about stickers and toys, if they're just going to be like, yeah, whatever, like give them the $2 million per instance, or if they're going to take the time to actually sit through it and figure out if Toho is accomplishing what they're trying to do through financially devastating this small group of people. So at the end of the day, are these creators infringing on Toho's copyright? Yes. Yes, they are. Is Toho's response to this copyright infringement proportionate to what's going on? Absolutely fucking not. I really think the long-term impact of this is that folks are just going to be more cautious around how they celebrate Godzilla. And if Toho genuinely thinks that these counterfeit items are hurting their brand more than their own conduct, they are sorely mistaken. This is normally the part of the video where I would ask you like a fun question, be like, oh, what do you think about this? Or what did you want to see? But no, like this is all just kind of depressing. But maybe I'll ask the question anyway. What do you think of Toho's conduct in this situation? Let me know down below, or don't, if this has exhausted you as emotionally as it has for me. I would love to pay a special shout out to Sergeant Dornan and Dunkin' Donuts. These are Category 3 channel members here. They donated 24 channel memberships for other viewers. I'm so immensely thankful. Thank you both so much. We've got a whole new influx of channel members that get early access to my videos. They get to use my emojis and all kinds of other perks. So if you're interested in becoming a channel member, check out the link down below. And thank you to all the channel members, new and old, for their continued support. My Twitter and Discord links are in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. And hopefully I'll talk to you again soon about something nicer than this.